We love FD RX7s, and they're even better with an LS swap. Why don't you fire it up and let's hear some of that LS goodness.
Well, I've got to prime the fuel system. I've got to check that there's premix in there.
Yeah. Hey, before you warm it up, Luke, I think we're gonna have to change the spark plugs.
Yeah, I've got to change the spark plugs. Quick rebuild. From the apex out, like when you get it into a corner, from the apex out, having zero lag and having all the torque is pretty good. Like you've just got an oversteer pedal and it works amazingly. And then I can cruise along like this in fifth, I probably pull sixth. Pulling sixth at 70 k's an hour is doing 1100 RPM. And it will still drive. Like it's not complaining, it just drives away. It's doing 80 now, so. And you can like fourth. So we can run from second to sixth at one speed, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, I've got to ask, everyone's just going to be asking why the V8. I like rotaries, I love Mazdas, and I also like V8s, but you're not a particular big fan of rotaries, are you?
I don't hate them, I just don't know them. Yeah. Yeah, and I love an FD RX7 as much as I think everybody kind of does. I think the only people that don't like FD RX7s are people that hate rotaries. I don't know why you would hate them, it's just not my thing, and I wanted to do something different-ish.
Yep.
So it's been done before, but different-ish.
It's one car, I've been in heaps of these, I've been in 20B ones, I've never actually been in an LS one. So I'm interested to see how it drives. You bought this, big surprise here, but it was not going, was it?
Yeah, he took it to a track day and it did rotary things, and stuff got blue and hot and whatever, and I bought it with a broken engine. At the time, I bought it, I think, like at the sweet spot. You just wouldn't get rid of it now, you just rebuild it, but yeah, I bought it from him and I managed to start it, and I drove it up the driveway, and then I never managed to start it again.
Yeah. And you got rid of all that, yeah? You didn't even keep it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the entire driveline's new. I mean, a lot about the RX-7 is still here because it's perfect. The styling, you know, he had some awesome wheels on it. It's perfect, it's just I wanted a different driveline.
What's interesting though, I've shown a few of my mates pictures of this car, and I've deliberately shown them with the number plate. They still don't, Jerry.
Yeah, because it's L98, not as, I guess, common as LS1 or LS3, but L98's what's in it. I probably couldn't have got FD LS1, to be fair, and you wouldn't want a Nugget 5.7 anyway. But it's got an L98 and it just made sense, I don't know, it worked.
When you did this, were you able to buy a conversion kit, or did you just come up with your own bits? Or?
Yeah, look, I was reasonably time poor, so the idea of fabbing a subframe wasn't really for me. So there's a guy in the States that does subframe, radiator intake, trans mount and diff mount. So basically I bought that, and it just meant that in the course of a day, the powertrain was mostly mounted, right? Like it still needs finessing, bits and pieces. You know, look, the build takes a long time. It doesn't just plonk in and you've got a 1 month YouTube engine transplant. You know, in real world, it takes years.
I like the fact it's still got the...
That's modified. Everything's modified.
The strap brace there. You
so
can see it's modified.
Those bends are modified. The rest is factory. So I didn't change anything else apart from 2 little bends just to clear that. The firewall's got a tiny little touch on the back there because I wanted the engine to be nice and rearward. There's a bunch of bonnet missing, which most people don't seem to notice, but it's missing these. Aluminium bonnet, so it weighs absolutely nothing. And the best thing is it doesn't rust. I don't have to do anything with it.
I can see you got the old trusty.
Why would you do anything different?
No,
it works.
It
It runs E85. I put a Continental ethanol sensor, so you know OEM GM parts in there. You just go in with HP tuners and turn it on, and I've got a cam, so it's got a, I don't know, what do you want to call the cam? It's 228, 232 at 50, so it's kind of mild, could be bigger.
In the LS world, that you'd consider that very, very streetable.
Yeah, and it is because it's light, that's the thing. The lighter the car, the more streetable the cam is, right? Yeah. So it just lugs it around happily. It's got, you know, lifters, push rods, trunnion upgrade, just the usual deal, valve springs.
All the usual stuff, sort of stock bottom end deal, yeah?
Having opened the bottom end, I put an improved racing sump and crank scraper on it, so give it some oiling capability, because the idea is to track it. That's why I've done this. It's got half a mil off the heads and a 5-angle valve job. Bit of compression ratio, so it's gone from 10.8 to 11.2, I think it is. Fly cut the pistons and yeah, E85. So
I like your intake setup.
yeah, it runs over the top, so it's got a cold air K&N carbon filter that sits in front of the radiator. It's funny because on the FD factory, the radiator is almost horizontal laying forward, goes like that, and this one is actually laying back. It's just kind of completely different. So, but yeah, most of that kit was kind of bought, which was nice, saves a lot of time.
Fits in there pretty good.
You can hate the LS and for all these different reasons.
But they package well,
But
don't
the
they?
packaging and the capacity and the power to this physical power to size ratio, there's a reason they get put in so many things, yeah.
You've even got OE style heat shielding on the...
Yeah, I love heat shielding because I hate melted shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got a photo which you can insert in the video here. Is that what they do on YouTube? Here, where the engine and gearbox was on the ground on stands. Car got lifted off, and then I could heat shield everything and drop it back on.
Common sight on a lot of LS engines I see is obviously leads, and this is just black.
Do you know why that's not black? That was brand new when I put it in. This is done, like, how many Ks has this car done? It drove Brisbane to Melbourne, so there's 2,000. So it's probably done 4,000 Ks since I've done the conversion, maybe 5,000. So that was brand new when it got put on. It was a gift from someone because they look so crap.
They look
and
cruddy.
It was that colour after the first track day.
Every one of them, which just looks
yeah,
awful.
consumable item.
Oh, one thing we didn't touch on earlier, this car's engineered, isn't it?
Yeah, 8 mod codes.
Yeah?
I don't know, I can't remember them all, but there's what do we got? Engine, gearbox, diff, front suspension, because the pickup points are different. Seats, seat belts, reduction of seating capacity, roll cage. There you go, we've got them all.
Properly engineered, not just a cut and shut.
Yeah. So when I first built it, I was driving along and I got to like a orange light. So I accelerate a bit and I'm like, doesn't feel very fast. And I found it, like, I was like, why doesn't it, if I thought it'd feel faster, but having so much torque, I'm always driving at 1500 RPM. And when you ask it to go, like, it goes, but it's not pushing you in your seat. And then it just makes a lot of noise because, you know, if you wanted to give it a go, like, let's say you're roll racing, you want to roll on it like 4.5, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so.
But at the track, that's great.
Oh yeah, it's a lot better on the 85 too. Like that mid-range torque is massive on the track.
Does it automatically change? Do you have to change the tune? No, it's
Factory
all
ECU.
factory ECU does everything.
It just sniffs how much ethanol's in there and it gives you an appropriate amount of fuel and ignition.
So what about the rest of the driveline?
So it's got a light and flywheel with a direct clutch in it, full face organic thing. I didn't want a button. The idea was leveraging the light car, you know, torquey motor. You don't have to run a mental clutch in it. It's a VE/SS running gear. People call it a TR6060. I have it under good authority. It is actually a T56 just with a flange on the outlet. Everybody sells them and calls them TR6060, which I think was only in the GDS. Anyway, who cares? It's got a gearbox with a 6-speed out of the Commodore. Custom tail shaft. I had about 5 different ones trying to get the vibrations out thanks to that flanged output gearbox, which sucks. Ford 8.8 aluminium diff with 355 gears and a Torsen center, Porsche style CVs.
Is that a common conversion?
Which one?
What you've done in the back?
Yeah, so you could buy that. I bought that out of the States. The Mazda diff does not like torque, and this is lighter. So Mazda diff is iron, and I pulled it out and then dropped it on my chest and almost killed myself, whereas this was actually lighter. Gearbox is way heavier than the Mazda gearbox, like beautiful little tiny slender, no torque capability gearbox in the Mazda. But at the back, but the TR6060 or 56 is massively heavy, but the diff is actually lighter, and 8.8 is way stronger. So, and I went for 355 gears because if you leave 411s in it, it's junk. It's you're trying to shift a truck too often.
I mean, that's what a lot of people say with cars like this. Oh, you've ruined the weight distribution. But these LSs don't weigh that much. Obviously you've scaled it.
Always. So this is a Type RS. So people are going to get more upset now. It was a limited edition, which meant it had twin oil coolers, high power turbos, short ratio diff, different ratio gearbox, and stuff like that. So sold that for good money. and put this in. So when I got it completely stock, it was 1,282 kilos with basically perfect 50-50 weight distribution, as you'd expect. This completely replaced, as it sits, all full street trim, went to 1,340.
Okay.
So it put on about 60 kilos, but importantly...
You're saying a bit of that weight's obviously in the transmission.
Oh, heaps in the trans, yeah. I reckon there's like 30 of it in the trans. Yeah. I got a cage though, so I put a cage in too. So I probably should have weighed that, but I didn't. But you know, steel half cage, they don't weigh nothing. So there's a portion of that there, but you know, swings and roundabouts, I've taken the factory seats out, you know, whatever. Anyway, it is what it is. When I track it, it's only about 13.15 or something, or 13.10. And when I sit in it, it's got more weight over the rear wheels than the front. Yes, you heard that right, more weight over the rear wheels. So everyone who complains that it's ruined the balance, I get more upset with people that have ruined an FD by putting dumb wheels on it or dumping it on the ground, or just can't drive it anywhere. This is going to track day this weekend. This goes to track days, and that's what it's there for. They love the axle trim. Yeah. It's not a my car, I think it's an FD thing. And it's not made for doing skids. Like, it's not a donut car, or, you know, it's made to handle and drive. And
that's so different to, I've been in so many FDs, but it's so different with
It's instant, isn't it? It just goes. Like, that's the thing. Primarily it's designed to go around a track well and keep a number plate on it. You know, like, yeah, I could have gone further with it, I could have done more extreme, but there's a balance, and it's kind of at a point now where I can't really go much further with it. I can't go and put Lexan in it. I can't, you know, I don't really want to stick it in the wall. Not that I ever did want to, but like, if I stuck an RX-8 in the wall, I wouldn't care. I'd probably get a ward or something, wouldn't I? My understanding is that generationally, it's one step better than this. It's newer, and the concept's very similar. And if you throw enough carbon at it, it looks beautiful. Like, you can make them look good. It swallows an LS. I love this concept. I just don't like the fact that if I have to buy parts for an FD, I'll be bleeding.
Of all the cool engineering on this car, I mean, how can you go past this masterpiece here?
Most people don't notice it. It's just been cut and shut here. And because it just used to go across, but it has to go around the intake. But it works fine. That's why you have an aluminium bonnet that weighs nothing.
Have you done much inside the car? You being a taller gentleman, I heard.
Well,
do you have any issues fitting in it, or?
Yeah, I can't fit in a stock one. So I used to have an NA MX-5, and I thought I fit in that with some minor mods.
Yeah.
So
I had one of them. See, I'm all back and no legs, which is not great for fitting in cars. You want to be longer.
I'm all back and all legs.
And all legs.
So I just assumed that I'd be, if I could fit in an NA MX-5, which is the size of a shoe, I could fit in this, but I was wrong.
Yeah.
There's two problems with fitting in an RX-7. One is obviously the height. So it's got a custom floor pan. Insert new photo here, but it's custom from here back in that, like a dish.
Okay.
It's only about 20 mil lower than stock. I mean, I say 20, it's about 20, but it's flat, which is key, whereas previously it had like all this contour to it, so you couldn't get the seat down and slide it.
Did you only do that on the driver's side?
Yeah. The other thing is the fact that it's got this sexy ass body shape with the big haunches. It means it really cuts into your headroom. So it's just like, it's really tight. So you really, when I'm tracking it, really jammed in there with like the helmet and the hands device and everything, and the harness, but you get used to it. But yeah, I did 19 hours.
19 hours?
Brisbane and Melbourne, it just chugged along. Good fuel economy, happy.
You'd have to get better fuel economy than a 13B, surely.
Yeah, well look, on the plus side, I wasn't pre-mixing fuel at every servo. But yeah, just put fuel in it and it just does its thing. 10.8 litres, 100. You got nothing else to do for 19 hours, I thought I'd measure it.
Yeah, so, why not? That's pretty good.
So the temp gauge doesn't actually work factory. They kind of, my understanding is when they only hit the hot mark at like 125C. So at the point the rotary's gone. And that's probably one of the common problems is people go, I'm good, my 13B is great at the track. And then it gets hot and it's game over. You can't catch it.
So you get all of about 3 seconds.
Yeah. So you can do a mod with some resistors and science and stuff.
Yes, science!
And now it gets hot at like 105 or something, 110. Like LSs like to run hot, but yeah. I've got the factory wing still, so I just, took that off. But that's a little bit of an ironic joke about having shut up nerd under there and then using artificial intelligence to design the wing mounts. But it was just a bit of fun with some 3D printing.
I like the twin tips.
Difficult styling decision to make. You say, come down and pick the tips.
If you get a single tip muffler though, arguably they sound better.
Well, that's a 2-inch, so it's a twin system, so twin stainless. It's got cats because we're not driving BMWs. So twin stainless HSV headers because they're awesome. They're stainless, they're like a tri-Y shape and they're compact, and that's important for this. It's pretty loud. Like every time I go to track day, they're like, yeah, you're going to
When you drove it in here before, I didn't think it was that loud.
They always seem to think it is at track days, but when I'm running,
yeah,
it just doesn't trigger the meter, but it must be close. Yeah. But we were talking about exhaust tips, and I thought, I didn't do it because I didn't want people to get really upset, but we're going to do the downturn, like a rotary style downturn. This is the piece to resist onto. You ready for this? RX7 people get pretty excited over this. The boom snake, whatever they call it. Bose acoustic. Look how dusty it is.
Is that factory?
Yeah, I haven't. This car's been sitting for a year.
Mate.
Sorry, it's a daily driver. Bose acoustic wave sound system. So they've got a subwoofer here.
I've filmed that many FDs and I didn't even know this existed. I never look in the boot.
Bose, baby. Yeah, it's got a subwoofer. You remember subwoofers back in the day, back in like the late 90s? It was all like how big's your box and how big's your pipes. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So this is trying to get the longest length of pipe. They just go like as long as possible, and then the sub's here, and then you get that boom, 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 straight to auto salon or something.
It seems like a lot of space used in a car that doesn't have heaps of.
I know. What a waste.
Storage.
It's an absolute waste.
My old Integra had a little sub under the front seat.
Oh yeah.
Seemed like a better use of space.
It's such a cool car, like the factory RX7, like, you know, how it's designed, like everything about it, you walk around it, like all the suspension arms are forged aluminium, they weigh nothing, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's a lightweight car.
Yeah. This is all double wishbone, isn't it, these cars?
Yeah, double wishbone in the front, the rear's got some funky, same thing, it's just like a one lower arm, it's got an upper arm, it's got a trailing link off that one, and it's all spherical bearings though. Yeah. So the thing about the FD, it was a sports car, first and foremost. It's got bugger all sound deadening. They're just noisy inside. You don't go in there expecting it to be a current Porsche or something, right? They just have no sound deadening. It's got spherical bearings all through the back and some in the front, so it's noisy. You hear the road noise, you feel the bumps, but it handles brilliantly. It's not a roll racing car. It's not going to be as fast as a huge turbo rotary.
It's not that, in the car, it's not that loud.
No, no. Well, I hear everything. It's my car.
Oh, you can hear a lot of creaks, but that's...
Yeah.
That happens when you take all the interior out, and like you said, there's not much sound deadening.
There was nothing to begin with. I put more in than there was, so...
No, that's cool, man. You built yourself a very nice car.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like I said, I drove Brisbane to Melbourne in, and that's a testament, right? Like, being my height, and it wasn't the most unpleasant thing in the world. It kind of did things, and I think I pulled over once, and the guy was an absolute legend. Yeah, funnily enough, I bought it, the guy that pulled me over was obviously a police officer, otherwise I'd probably be dead. And he worked in the same jurisdiction as the guy I bought it off. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, really nice guy, the guy I bought it off, really nice guy. An aluminium scissor jack.
Jeez, how light's that?
So like, they're probably more common now, but back in 20 years ago, to commit to an aluminium jack and all the risks and stuff that come with it, it's cool, man. The handle?
Yeah, wow.
It's just little things, man. So much of it's really cool. Like, this is why I love FD RX7s, and I just want to do something different. So, anyway, I don't hate rotary RX7s. For the record, I do not hate them. And if I bought this one now, if I had this one now, would I have converted it? No. I probably would have kept it a rotary, figured out how to make a rotary work, and then I would have bastardized an RX8 and run that into the wall because no one gives a shit about them.
I looked at buying one of these, and they were around 25, and I was like, I don't know, man, 25 for an FD. Like, it's an old car. It's easy to say all this stuff now in terms of car prices.
An old, unreliable car.
Yeah.
Because it's a Type RS, it's a big fat front rotor and,
they're like
and
a 4-piston
bigger diameter.
setup,
Yeah, 4-piston opposable.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. I mean, it's still too small.
These were pretty good though when these came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the big brake kit. So I've kept that.
Find them. They're
not good. They're not good enough for what I do.
Yeah, what you want to do.
It's just this does 255 at Philippine on the front straight. Okay. It's just arguably I shouldn't be braking hard in turn one, but it builds speed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's hard on the brakes. So there's some 2-piece rotors, aftermarket rotors I've got on there, running fulls on all pads all around, but I still need to go bigger.
You have said that you're thinking of selling this car.
Yeah, just because I'm kind of, I haven't, the last time I really drove was 12 months to the day. at Winton, and I'm going to Winton again on the weekend.
But look, granted, the last 12 months hasn't been a normal year,
true.
so that's...
But it's also not fun to drive in Melbourne. I mean, where we are here, I mean, the Black Spur's nice, but it's going back to Brisbane with me on the weekend, and we'll see how it feels up there, if I like it again. But I want to go faster on track, and that means taking weight out, and I just can't...
You don't want to ruin this car. And...
Yeah, I feel like some people are going to say that I already have, but it just works, everything works, it drives, and an RX8 means I could just go full track. I don't have to worry about legalities, I can take everything out of it, I can go proper light. Do something different like a BMW DCT or something, you know, just a proper track car, it'd be fun.
Oh, you got one of these funky ones.
No. Lap sash. I got lap sash and harnesses.
Oh, you got lap sash and harnesses.
So lap sash for road work, harnesses for track work.